Hello, Serge here from the backyard driving range. Alright, question into customer service from Bill Cover. And he says, "Hi Don, it looks like some of the rest are catching up to what you say about not hitting down on the ball. Here is a passage from an email sent to me by a friend. It starts off, 'Dear student, blah blah blah. There's no debate on this one. TrackMan and other swing analysis tools have confirmed that the best ball strikers are generating distance by attacking the ball on an ever so slight upward angle. The question is, how?" That's what, thanks from Bill Cover, and that's what Bill is asking. How do we do this? All right, that's true. I think some people are starting to do it and say it, some other swings, but still not that many, because the majority of the rotational swings have you, because you're turning, they have this concept, and I keep hearing the guys on TV talk about this, that you're on top of the ball, you're covering the ball, your right shoulder and your back shoulder stays down and through the ball and through the target, and then they got your shoulder at the target and your chest over there and your target's over there. And as I asked years ago in my very first video, Golf Plain and Simple, shot at the 18th hole at Harbortown Golf Links in about 1991 or 2, I said, did God give golfers a dispensation to play by their own set of rules? I don't think so. And the rule I'm talking about here is every other sport in the world has you look at your target and throw or hit to your target and finish at your target. Golf is the only one that says, now if that's your target, you can, swing over there and finish over there. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Just think about throwing a ball. I used to tell my kids when I coached Little League, look where you throw where you look, right? Follow through where you want to look, where you want to hit it. So golf doesn't have a dispensation. So, but I think there are more folks who are, you hear a lot about golfers having problems with their wrists now and their elbows, but much of it is from this what I call the lag drag hold block, where they get in here and on the way down, as they come down, they arch their wrists. And some of them are really arched it at the top, but they're in here. And when you do that, the club face is very likely shut, and you're coming through. The whole thing behind that is they're pulling the shaft. They pull the shaft and the club through. They're pulling it through and holding on. They're stopping the club from releasing. Because why? The last thing they can ever have when they're rotating the body out and swinging to the left is starting the ball left. They'll be left of left of left. They might have to duck. It'll be like a boomerang coming back. So they drag it and they hold on coming through. And in my opinion, I've said many times, the first guy that ever figured that out was Ben Hogan. Because if you know anything about the history of Ben Hogan, he lived in utter fear, and the shot that killed him was to the left, which basically in the old vertical golf swings, that's the one that killed everybody. Up until after the rotational swing came out in the early 90s, every good player that showed up on a tee asking for a lesson said, "Serge, the left woods are killing me, man. The pull hooks, the snap hooks, they're killing me. You got to keep me out of there." And then I'd be watching the guy, and where's all his misses? They're almost all to the right, and hardly ever to the left. And I said, "I thought your left is killing me." "Well, I haven't seen one yet, and you've hit 25, 30 balls. "Well, yeah, I don't hit it too often, but when I do, it's dead. It's OB, it's in the woods, it's lost, it's in a lake or whatever." So it's the killer shot. And remember, golf's a game of misses. And so the same thing is prevalent today. If they're swinging left and release the club, it's going to go left. So they've got this lag, drag, hold block. All right? And then when you get in here and you get it to there, anytime the wrists are not straight at impact, and they're into any form of, especially the lead wrists, of too much of a lag in here with that arching in there, or even if you're cupping like that, and the club is, you're trying to make the club go faster like that, you're putting tremendous stress on the wrist joint and the thumbs, and eventually it runs up to your arm can start bringing elbow problems, shoulder and neck problems. All right, but when we're about the only swing right now that is behind the ball at impact, and at impact, both arms are relatively dead straight and both extended. All right, flat. All right. Now, we do know that in the backswing, we try to keep the left, for a right-hander, the left wrist would be flat, or the forward wrist would be flat, and the right wouldn't be cupped, and cup even more the way down. And then what happens? When they both get flat at impact and we go through, what happens? The back arm becomes the string arm, and the front arm becomes the one with a little bit of cup coming up to the finish, and then finishing, and then when we recoil and relax, they're both relatively straight again. So, for a reaction is a reaction. So, the key here is that in all of this action, back to the question, yeah, there's a few more people starting to pick the ball, especially if guys ended up with some bad wrists. He's attributed it to maybe hitting down on the ball too much. So they're shallowing out their divots. And in many cases, they try to get to do that because on the tour, they like to keep the fairways hard, which means there's not that much, they're not watering the fairways much. So the fairways are hard themselves. So they're in there, if you get pretty hard fairways, and you got too much shaft lean and you're hitting down on it, that can give you some pretty serious stress and strains and you know, torsion and everything on your wrists and elbows and all the way up the arm and to the neck and even down to the back. So they are possibly trying to do it, but for the most part, I think the majority of golf is still, if you're on top of it, it's almost the only way you can pull out of that shot, and this is very evident. Just go watch. You'll see him this weekend, or anytime you watch him on TV, Lee Westwood. He comes through and the arm's always coming up like this. Because as you notice, most of these rotational guys, as they go down, as they turn, they scrunch their shoulders down. It helps slows the shoulders down. But if they're getting closer to the body, if they straighten their arms out, they'd hit back here. So they're coming through like that, and then they come up. And so you see a lot more of the left elbow slightly buckled, or as we call it, almost winging. All right, chicken winging. Okay, so that'll cause a little that's coming through so they can shallow out, and it's also helping them avoid pulling it to the left. So good observation, but I still think for the most part, as long as they're rotating and covering the ball, they're still a heck of a lot steeper than we are, and the majority of them are still, if they're on top of the ball, they're either coming out of the shot or they're having to have the arms break down, as we are behind it, and the arms straightening up, which really makes swinging up to the tee finish a lot easier because we're behind the ball just like skipping a rock. All right, so we're shallowing out, we're flatter, we're shallower coming through, hit that ricochet, that nip, that clip it, almost like ricochet the club off the ground and stand up to that tee finish. Okay, good question, good observations from Bill Cover, and that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.